So that's our discussion on high leverage points and influential observations. But I want to think about whether, if you go back to our data, I think it's easier to discuss this looking at the observations. Here, what we see on the top part, there's a collection of 5 different observations. So these are 5 different towns that have very high value compared to what you see for all of the other towns. So a question is, even though these points aren't high leverage points, because they're in this typical X range, are they influential observations? Meaning if we remove these observations, will the fit change very much? So now let's just see what happens in this data set. Okay, so we're going to remove these, what we're saying here, we're going to remove these high value outlier neighborhoods and redo our analysis. So what we're doing here is we're creating a data set, which I'm going to call sales underscore no high end for no high end towns, which takes our data set still with Center City removed and just filters out all the towns that have average values greater than $350,000. Okay, so let's fit this new data set. And again, let's compare coefficients. So I'm going to compare the coefficients to our fit with Center City removed to the fit that further removes these high-end houses, or sorry, these high-end towns. And what you see is, yeah, there is some influence on the estimated coefficients, but not nearly as significant as what we saw by simply removing Center City. So in this case, we've removed 5 observations out of a total of 97 observations. And we see that the impact of crime rate on predicted decrease in house value changes by a couple $100, but not by the amount that we saw by just removing that one Center City observation earlier on. So this shows that high leverage points can be much more likely to be influential observations for just small deviations from the data set than outlying observations that are within our typical X range. Okay, so the summary of all of this analysis and discussion is the fact that when you have your data and you're making some fit and making predictions or interpreting the coefficients, it's really, really important to do some data analysis, to do visualizations of your data or different checks for whether you have these high leverage points or these outlying observations, and checking whether they might potentially be these influential observations, because that can dramatically change how you're interpreting or what you're predicting based on your estimated fit.